Welcome back to Kern County Raceway Park in Bakersfield, California. On a perfect night for racing, you see the field of 23 rolling off as they get ready for 150 laps in the NAPA Auto Parts 150. Parker, this place was carefully designed for some great racing.
Yeah, Dave, this is an incredible facility and an awesome racetrack. This half mile has the progressive banking like we saw at Irwindale, and you'll see the drivers use all the lanes there. But one thing to watch is how fast this racetrack is.
And a lot of drivers have experience here, including the one that Heather wants us to keep an eye on.
Many of the drivers here in the garage have pointed to one guy to beat, and that's veteran David Mayhew. David has more experience here than most, with 4 starts, 3 top 5s, and a best finish of second just last season where he led 85 laps. Tonight marks a special evening for David as he will make his 100th start in the K&N West Series. When I asked him about it earlier today, he jokingly said this would be a good one to retire on. But in all seriousness, he said it couldn't happen at a better track. This is his home track, and he's hoping to get a win as he's come very close many times. This is David's first time back in the car since the Phoenix finale last season, so he will have to shake off a little bit of rust, but don't count out that 17 just yet.
And Parker, Heather makes a great point. He's won everything here except the K&N race.
I know it gets at him, but, you know, David Mayhew is a very experienced racer. You know, he's just making his 100th start, and he actually has a 4.8 average finish across all series at this racetrack. Really in his wheelhouse.
He'll have to battle through Todd Gilliland on the pole and Chris Eggleston, his teammate, on the outside of row 1.
Julia Landauer there starting 6th. She had a great run at Irwindale in her first start, coming 8th.
You saw Mayhew there on row 4. Buddy Shepard in the Jefferson Pitts All-Star 55 car outside row 6.
And look at Ryan Partridge there on row 7, 14th. Coming off a second-place finish at Irwindale, not quite what he probably wanted here tonight.
Well, and to keep those points alive in the championship, yeah, he's got to make some ground up. Probably the furthest back, and you see him on the outside, that orange top, number 9. He's got a lot of cars to get through to get toward the front tonight. For the start of the NAPA Auto Parts 150, Todd Gilliland chasing history. Can he win his 4th K&N Pro Series race in a row to tie Dan Gurney, or will it be his teammate Chris Eggleston to the inside? We're green at Kern County. Whoa, a lot of wheel spin right there, Parker, back in the pack.
That will happen sometimes, these places, especially these tracks that have new asphalt. You think it has a lot of grip, but when you have these tires that are maybe a little harder to kind of be on this asphalt, you can get a little dust on them and spin those tires at the start before you get heat in them.
Looked like it might have been the 27 of Grayson Raz back there, but boy, they got out of shape, and that was sketchy.
Well, that's something that can happen, though, when you're back in the pack. That's why you don't want to qualify back there. They sometimes say, some people have termed it as being in the soup, right? You're in the eye of the storm back there, and that's why we have qualifying and why qualifying up front is so important.
We already talked about Ryan Partridge starting back there in 14th, second in the championship. You see the battle for 6th right now. Landauer has it in the 54 on the outside. That's the 17 of Mayhew down on the inside.
Keep an eye on him. He really experienced this racetrack, as we said, but one thing from last year was that he was able to use that outside line to his advantage in last year's race. Ooh, he gets a little out of shape into Julia Landauer there, and when he gets that outside line, he was able to roll and get past the leader of that race last year, Dalton Sargent, so I look for him to be able to be the guy to watch about what lane is best.
Raz got a little squirrely back there in the 27, and his teammate, the 7 of Gregson, passes through on the inside. Here's Heather with more on Ryan Partridge.
As you guys have mentioned, Ryan Partridge had a poor qualifying effort where he started 14th. He said that he was eager to beat Todd Gilliland. All he wanted to do was get that pole because he was so close back at Irwindale. So basically what happens is he just got a little too aggressive and drove it in too deep on his first lap, and it upset the car so much that on the second lap, it didn't want to do anything right. His plan is to start off right off the bat to make up as much positions as possible. Currently, he said, though, that the top groove isn't working for him, and he's also loose center off and exit. So they have a plan on the halfway break to come in and make some adjustments with the track bar and right rear spring to hopefully help him out with that.
Thanks, Heather. Parker, qualifying is such a pressure-packed moment. You ever messed up like that?
Dave, that was a lot of information there. Yeah, I think, it's so easy on short tracks to overdrive. And what we mean by that is you try to make up time in the braking zone and by driving the car in further, but these heavy stock cars don't want that. Sometimes you need to back up the corner, let it roll through the center, keeping your momentum up, and that achieves the fastest lap time. But as a driver, sometimes you're ahead of the race car, and it's easy to just drive in too far, which doesn't get the lap time you want.
Saw the 55 of Buddy Shepard pulled down and into the infield. Tough for him. He started on the outside of row 6, his first start of the season. after a couple of good runs last year. Have to check on him a little bit later, see what's going on. Meanwhile, back up toward the front, Noah Gragson picking up spots. He gets by the 61 of Johnny Borneman.
Making a lot of ground on that bottom line. Oh, the caution's out here.
Caution on the track, and now it appears maybe to check things. Oh, no, it wasn't for Buddy Shepard. It's Blaine Rocha. The 20 car is up in the high line there. A lot of steam coming out of the right side there, Parker, and see if we can get another look at what happened to Blaine. Just now barreling down into turn 1, that last car. We see sparks.
Ooh. Yeah, that could be a tire there, Dave. I think that's what we've seen a couple times this year, just that right front blowing. Didn't get in the wall too hard.
Hey, Heather.
It's been a rough start for the K&N West Series for Blaine Rocha as bad luck has plagued him at the first 2 races. He crashed at Irwindale due to a tire issue, and the same thing happened tonight. As you can see here, he cut down a right front tire, which led to the incident out of turn 2. He said his goal this year is just to have patience, keep acquiring new skills, and have a good time. So far, he's not having a good time, but hopefully further on in the series, we can see him get up there and compete with these guys, because he definitely has a fast car.
Yeah, cut down tires do not equal a good time, Parker, do they?
Dave, you know, there's 2 things that can happen there. One, you're overusing the brakes, but how early this happened in the race, either they ran something over, or considering they've had it happen 2 weeks in a row, you might just be being too aggressive on that right front camber, wearing that tire out. They need to take a look at their setup going forward.
Todd Gilliland continues to lead in the 16 car. To his inside, his teammate, looks like the start of the race, Chris Eggleston. And again, Gilliland takes him to green here at Kern County. Another good jump and using that high line for momentum.
Really using that high line. It's interesting considering that we've seen a lot of cars being able to make up a lot of ground on the bottom line. Although, as I said, last year that outside line was the predominant line that you wanted to be in. So I think Todd Gilliland has the right idea here as he clears Eggleston and starts to drive away.
And a third Bill McAnally Racing teammate, Riley Herbst, slides into third in the 19 car. Good run so far for him. Battle for fourth between Borneman on the outside in the white 61 and Cole Rouse on the inside in the 6.
And look at that. Oh, Borneman just clears himself on Rouse there and really slots in on the bottom. It seems, as we said, the bottom line seems to be really working right now. That's very interesting to see at this brand new racetrack. As these racetracks mature and they age, they go through different periods of different times where different, obviously, lines are going to work. And right now, we're just seeing that bottom line work here tonight.
Now you see Mayhew moving through in the 17, started 7th this evening. So much experience here, wanting that victory in the K&N Pro Series. And behind him, the 7 of Gragson, championship runner-up last year.
Mayhew's actually using a little bit of the apron there coming off turn 2. That's really interesting to see. Using it to de-wedge that car a little bit, get it turned, and get back to the throttle. And he's making up a lot of time down there. You got to think with the experience he has around this racetrack, some other drivers might be taking note.
2 times a late model champion here at the track, and I think his wins number in the 20s or maybe even the 30s by now. He's won here a lot.
Oh, yeah, it's just so impressive. And when you have that kind of notebook for a place like this, that experience, and that success, it just breeds confidence. It breeds understanding. You see him right there below that white line. No one else is doing that. I've got to think Cole Rouse right there should be watching that and taking notes, as I said, because he obviously has something figured out that these other drivers aren't quite sure about.
Well, Borneman's sure about the high line. The 61 car moves into third now. He's looking racy.
Really is, using that outside line to pass cars and move forward. And that's what we want to see out of this racetrack. It's designed this way, with that 12 degrees at the bottom, 14 degrees at the top. This is made to provide side-by-side racing using those 2 lines. David Mayhew gets a huge run around Riley Herbst on the outside. This is what we want to see, and I think it will continue to get better throughout the night as they lay that rubber down.
Almost looked like a little bump drafting there between Mayhew and Borneman coming off the corner again. They run third and fourth. Here's Mayhew looking to the inside again. He'll back off this lap.
Look at how many cars he's passed in such a short amount of time. That is really impressive. I think if Todd Gilliland's up there saving his equipment, saving these tires, considering, Dave, that we don't have a tire change in this race here tonight, I think he'll be watching that 17 car thinking, okay, this guy's coming. We got to keep tabs on what he's doing, have his spotter tell him what he's using to his advantage, because that car is fast tonight.
Halfway break on or about lap 75, but they will only use the 1 set of tires that they started the race on, unless they should have some sort of issue. Mayhew having no issues now with speed, and that's normal here at Kern County. He goes around the outside to second. He's going to challenge for the lead coming off the corner.
This is incredible, Dave. We saw this last year. This is exactly how Mayhew got the lead last year's race. Very early in the same fashion. He went to that top line and rolled and kept his momentum up and seemed to just have a tremendous amount of speed over the field. We're seeing that again here tonight. Look at, that's experience for you, that's understanding, and that's confidence in what you want in your race car. And he knows exactly how to get to the front.
And Parker, here's something I'm wondering, though. We just mentioned the fact that they only get the one set of tires. Is there any chance that Todd Gilliland was told to drop anchor for now?
Well, you got to think he's saving something. He did it the last 2 races.
Another smart young driver is running 5th. It's a 19 of Riley Herbst. Let's get to know him.
Hi, I'm Riley Herbst from Las Vegas, Nevada, driver of the number 19 NOS Energy Drink Toyota Camry. Ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to follow my dad into racing, but racing took me this way, and I'm super excited for this season, and I'm really honored to drive for Bill McAnally. That's one of the hardest parts between my education, social life, and then racing, but we're all figuring it out and stuff. It's pretty cool. I look to my dad, Brennan Gaughan, and then the Bush brothers because they're from Vegas. So it's a small circle for racing. I'm just excited.
He's really shown himself to be able to run all over this racetrack, and that might just lead to victory lane.
My goals are just to learn as much as I can and just to finish each and every lap and just each and every race.
Dave, what strikes me there is he talks about balancing the personal life, racing, and his school work. And I've been there as a young driver, and it's a tough thing, but a lot of times it can be a great learning experience for a young man in his development as a person and a race car driver. Also pointing out NOS Energy supporting him. That's really impressive to have such a great, large brand, large company supporting him at a young age. That's really going to be good going forward in his career.
Now, as we approach halfway, he has fallen back to 7th, had a really nice qualifying run of 3rd, so they're going to have to make some adjustments on that 19 car come the halfway break. And we've already mentioned, as you see, the 7 of Gregson wants to take the 7th spot away from Riley. They will not be able to change tires, but they will be able to make pretty much any adjustment they want to on their race cars.
And Riley's looking very tight right there off the corner. He got very tight right off of 2, and that's when Noah Gregson was able to get right up beside him. It seems like he might just be struggling there, and as you said, they're going to have that halfway break to make the adjustments, so he should be noting how tight he is with his crew chief, saying, here's what I need from the race car. They'll make those adjustments and be better in the second half of this race.
David Mayhew, the Bakersfield, California resident, still has command of this race in his white and orange number 17. You're watching the battle for 4th, Borneman and Eggleston.
Eggleston's falling back here a little bit. We got to, we talked a little bit about Todd Gilliland maybe saving some tires here, and you got to think Eggleston might be doing the same here. They've been lockstep together, running nose to tail for most of this race, and you got to think maybe they're both in the same strategy of saving tires for the second half of this race.
And the other point to note, Ryan Partridge has driven from 14th all the way up to 2nd, and before the halfway break, we get it right there. Doesn't quite have a chance to challenge for the lead, but Partridge, the biggest mover, 12 positions, Parker, in this first half.
And look at our 2 leaders. Both of them came from deep in the field to get up there. Not as deep as Partridge for Mayhew, but still passed a lot of cars to get up there. You've got to think these 2 really felt comfortable with their race cars. It'll be interesting to see what changes, if any, they make in this halfway break.
What a night this could be for David Mayhew from Bakersfield. So is his owner, Steve McGowan. This would be a big family night, and I'm sure a big bonus to this crowd if they could see the local boy come home first. Glad you joined us for K&M Pro Series West Racing tonight, the 5th time that the West Series has visited the new Kern County Raceway Park. And Todd Gilliland started on the pole, chasing his 4th straight K&M Pro Series victory. But David Mayhew, the local driver, has had something to say about it, taking his 17 car to the lead before the halfway break. Parker, what do you do for your driver during the break?
Well, if you're in David Mayhew's position or Ryan Partridge, I'll be interested to see if they even made any changes at all, with how well those race cars were able to use the bottom and the top lane. If you're Todd Gilliland or Chris Eggleston, we're falling back a little bit. You got to think they made some changes there to try and beat that 17 and 9.
Mayhew with control of the field, the white car on the outside. Ryan Partridge in the 9 down on the inside. The front row gets going, and it's a clean restart.
Dave Mayhew using that outside line. Oh, he's got an issue here. Looks like he's going up the racetrack. Not quite sure what the issue is at this point.
Way high. We saw the sparks, and that car is leaning down on the right side. Look at that, Parker. It looks like the right front tire is going down.
It has to be. Oh, what a disaster coming out of the halfway break. Maybe he ran something over going into pit lane. It's not cleaned up down there. He's doing a good job of holding on to it, maybe getting it not getting in the wall and staying out of the groove and staying out of everyone's way here, but he's going to need to get to pit lane and try to get that tire changed. What a disastrous turn of events for Dave Mayhew.
He was the halfway leader, and now Mayhew off in turn 4, and it's just going to loop around. He can't control it anymore. That right front definitely down. They did not change tires during the halfway break, but Parker, they come on and off of pit road. They run through all kinds of areas that they haven't been on yet on the, during the race.
Yeah, and there's some things there that you have to wonder, okay, why does this series not change tires here in this racetrack, unlike most racetracks we go to? And you got to think this racetrack doesn't have the tire wear that we see at a lot of places, being this new asphalt, so you can get away with it. But one risk is when you come down on pit road, those hot, sticky tires, you can pick stuff off pit road, maybe a bolt or something. It will puncture that tire, and you won't even know till you get on the racetrack. Good job by Dave Mayhew to spin it out here. I think he may have wanted that caution to come, obviously, to be able to change this tire and try and come back to the field.
Well, and the rule is that they get to change the tire in the position as long as they can prove that it's punctured, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to see that based on what we've seen from the sparks and the inability to control that race car. There goes the tire change right there. It has to be a tire, Parker, that he practiced on, and he only gets to change the one. So, I mean, to get the handling right coming off of this, that's going to be interesting.
It can be tough for sure. You don't do this ever. There's no experience. There's nothing you do in practice or most times in your racing career where they'll tell you, okay, we're just going to change the right front tire. Oh, and it's going to be old. Yeah. So, there's no way to be prepared for what is about to happen here. You can't make changes that are in your notebook for this. You just have to go out there and hope that that race car is able to run like it did in the first half of this race.
So Mayhew, after leading many laps leading up to the halfway point, will start at the rear of this 23-car field. We'll see how much ground he can make up by the end of this thing. I don't want to say his chances are completely gone, Parker, but that's a tough deal.
That is tough. He did a great job the first half of this race, coming from mid-pack there to drive all the way up to take the lead. But that'll be a tall order here, knowing how these guys have worked on their race cars in the halfway break. They understand the racetrack after having to run halfway here. I think it'll be, tough to say he could get back up there. But look who it puts in the lead here. Our buddy Ryan Partridge there, who finished second, Irwindale.
Chance to lead a lap coming back to green. Heather reports to us that NASCAR did find a puncture on the right front of the 17. So that's all good. Just a lot for Mayhew to do before this 150-lap race is completed. Rolling to the white line, the second one there. Partridge fires, and he's off. Good restart.
What a restart.
Yeah, really good for him.
Wow, that was the best jump we've seen tonight. He said earlier tonight when he overdrove in qualifying that he was trying so hard to beat Todd Gillen. Well, guess what? He just took off from him and drove away on that restart. Great job.
They came into the night separated by just 4 points in the championship. Partridge in arrears. Now Gilliland tries to track him down and take command of this race once again. Eggleston in the 50 and Partridge's teammate Cole Rouse battle for third.
Yeah, we've got an all-teammates affair up there in the top 4 right now. We've got Noah Gregson now making some headway on the bottom again. Got to think he probably made some changes under that caution, the halfway break, to help that race car, because it seemed like he just wasn't quite able to make up the ground that he wanted in that first half of the race. Gregson's
yellow 7 trying to move by the 61 of Borneman, that white car, and there's Riley Herbst in the 19, looking to see what happens next. Now the 7 of Gregson is running 6th. His teammate Grayson Raz has fallen back to 10th. Here's Heather with more.
During that last caution, both of the Jefferson Pitts racing teams had communication with their crew chiefs. Noah Gregson came over the radio and told his crew chief, Jerry Pitts, that he's just cruising around the top side and not trying to burn the right rear off. He said he can run the bottom, however. Jerry told him that he needs to be at about 95% now from here on out. The same thing happened with Grayson Raz and his crew chief, Jeff Jefferson, but Jeff told Grayson he needs to run a little bit higher of a line because he is burning off the right rear. Jefferson said, with as far back as we are right now, we're going to have to start going. And Grayson said, all right, the gloves are off now then. They are both currently in the top 10. Let's see if they can make their way further to the front.
Dave, I love that about this series, that you have one set of tires, or sometimes two, and how you use those tires, and talking to the crew chief about the strategy in using those tires is so cool to me. I think you learn so much as a young driver having to do that in this series. And, you know, just look at the difference in only a couple spots. You've got Noah Gragson, who's up there in the top 5, who's saying, okay, you know, I'm going to go 95% for the rest of this race till the end. But then you've got Grayson Raz, who's just at the top 10, thinking, okay, I've got to go now because I've got to use what I've got in these tires to get further up front and hopefully put myself in a better position. Just a really cool part or strategy element to these races.
We saw Riley Herbst in the 19 using his hands there. A little bit busy for that 16-year-old from Las Vegas. He's now going to try to get by Gregson on the inside, taking a peek anyway.
Look at Ryan Partridge up here, gapping Todd Gilliland right now. Really, as he said when he came in here, he wanted to get out there and beat Todd Gilliland. Well, he's showing it right now that he's got a car to do it.
We check the progress of Mayhew up to 13th after having a right front tire cut down, came down pit road, changed that, and started at the tail of the field, now trying to find every way he can to get back to the front.
He's going to need a caution, though. There's no doubt he's going to need a caution or cautions to really make this work. He's going to have times where the field is bunched back up that he can make those passes that we saw at the beginning, maybe 1 or 2 cars in the same corner that he was able to use or do earlier, because I just don't see how he's going to do this in these last 50 or so laps to get to the front.
First start of the season for Mayhew, just going to run a limited schedule this season in that 17 car, and the caution is out. And you see the 38 there of Colton Nelson down in the front straightaway. Looks like he's had contact with the wall.
Yeah, it looks like the right front there is really damaged. You got to think he hit hard with that right front. Could be another tire down. I see the tire is down. We're not sure if that's a product of actually hitting the wall and then it coming down, or going down and then hitting the wall.
So for Nelson, disappointment tonight. And we'll see what they can. I don't think they're going to be able to repair that. We'll see if we have a look at what happened to him coming off of turn 4. It's going to go straight.
Yeah, that's definitely a right front issue.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's tough. That's exactly what you don't want to have happen. You're in the throttle hard, coming off the corner, and as a driver, you're just a passenger at that point. When that right front lets go, you're holding on and bracing for impact on that wall. A lot of damage to that right front, though. They definitely will not be able to repair that. That's the end of their night.
The Idaho driver goes away on the hook. Ryan Partridge, seeking his 2nd career win, still leads here at Kern County Raceway Park. Back with you at Kern County Raceway. Ryan Partridge in the orange and blue car. He's a control car, leads, and will have the restart. Gilliland kind of pushing the issue. Second white line there is where they need to go, and Partridge will take them to turn 1.
Looks to be another great jump by Partridge, using that outside line. We've seen the leader of every start and restart here tonight use the outside line and be able to take the lead and start to drive away.
And looking at that, Parker, was that a little bit of the 16 laying back or the 9 just not coming up? I mean, NASCAR doesn't, at this level, like those restart games too much.
Yeah, it's tough to say, at times who's doing what there. To me, it looks like the 9, sometimes if you stick behind the 16 like that, you can kind of jump them a little bit because they can't tell exactly where you are. That you can't see too far to the right in your peripheral vision, so you'll kind of get surprised by the 9 getting a jump. But it seems like by the time they got to the restart box, they lined up and had a solid start.
At stake for Todd Gilliland, running 2nd, is his 4th series win in a row. It's only been done 1 time in history. That was over 50 years ago by Dan Gurney, the legend, and that was all at the Riverside International Raceway. Todd is trying to win at his 4th different track in 2 different ends of the country. So a lot on hand for Todd tonight, but Ryan Partridge continues to lead, and as we mentioned before, Partridge is 2nd in the championship points coming in.
What company we be talked about beside there? Dan Gurney, as we said earlier in the broadcast here tonight, just an all-American hero, not only in racing, but sports overall. So I think there's, probably Todd doesn't have that in his mind right now. He's focused on what that 9 car is doing and what his race car is doing in terms of how he's taking care of his tires. But I'm sure if he's able to pull that off tonight, he's going to have to really take hold of what he just achieved. What an amazing achievement that would be.
Teammates racing teammates. Partridge being raced by Gilliland at the front. This is Eggleston being raced by Rouse, and Eggleston with a little bit of advantage for 3rd, coming off the corner.
Just as we've said all night, being able to use both those lines effectively. Eggleston's been a bit of a bottom feeder here tonight. hasn't really used it outside line too much. Seems to think his race car works well down there. And so far, who are we to say it doesn't? He's been running in the top 3 most of this race, and definitely seems to be getting a little bit of an edge on Rouse here off the corner. But I think, you'd see him push a little harder here if we were maybe within 20 or 10 laps at the end. But being, though, that we still have about 40 to go, I think he's just trying to take care of his tires, and we've got a battle for the lead.
I was going to say, when's the go time for Gilliland this week? The first race of the season for the West Series, there was a definite point at which Todd was told to go. Perhaps lap 112 is when crew chief Chris Lawson is saying, all right, boy, go get it.
Yeah, Todd Gilliland has released the handcuffs on car 16 here, decided this is the time that he's go out and take the lead. They bump a little bit off the corner. Once again off turn 4, this is awesome side-by-side racing for the lead.
Just what Kern County Raceway was designed for. 2 different grooves, low and high, both working for these drivers.
Todd Gilliland just inching up there on the exits, trying to force Partridge out of the groove a little bit, and he's able to take the lead on the bottom. Let's see if Partridge can fight back.
He is right on the rear bumper of Todd Gilliland. Gilliland, again, the pole sitter tonight, just missed the track record, but he retakes command of this event. Todd Gilliland looking for his 4th in a row in the K&N Pro Series. Back with you at Kern County. The caution is out for the 6th time tonight here in the NAPA Auto Parts 150. And it's for the 29 of Parker Stevens, who was running 10th. And then this happened.
Dave, another cut down right front tire here. Just another product of maybe picking something up off the racetrack, cutting that tire and having it happen in the wrong place. Very reminiscent of what we saw happen earlier in the race off of turn 4.
Stevens, a second-generation driver, will look forward to getting to Evergreen Speedway in his home state later this year, but done for the evening here. Up front, Todd Gilliland is looking to win his 4th K&N Pro Series race in a row, 2nd of the season in the West, but he's got Ryan Partridge in that 9 car to deal with. His teammate Cole Rouse right behind him, and Gilliland's own teammate, the 50 of Eggleston, still running very strong and up front here with just a few laps remaining. Green is back out at Kern. Wow, in trouble in the middle of the pack.
Drew Landauer there is involved. 14 goes over there.
Matt Levine on his lid in the 14 car as he rolled over the top of Blaine Perkins in the 21. And that was like a delayed reaction there, Parker.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. Sometimes you maybe feel like you've even been through the wreck, and then another car just comes up in front of you out of nowhere, and next thing you know, you're launching off them like a ramp. That was one of the weirder things I've seen happen on a restart in my career.
NASCAR displaying the red flag, and you see the window net coming down. Matt's unhooked himself from his safety harness, and not a comfortable way to get out of a race car, but glad to see him climbing right out of it.
Yeah, I've actually been upside down in a race car before, and normally you just sit there waiting for the safety crew to kind of come over and flip you back over. So pretty impressive for Matt Levine to even be able to get out of there when it's upside down. Like, that's a tough deal. See him limping a little bit, but overall okay.
Never good when you roll a race car. You see him talking to the safety worker there, giving him a thanks for getting me out of that situation. And they've got a lot of work to do on that race car if it's going to make the next event. This crowd happy to see Matt walking away as well after seeing some great competition here tonight. That little bit of carnage right there is important to see the driver up and okay. Now let's see, the restart line is right there. The second one is actually the restart line, and the bottom line, Parker, goes, but the top line, which is the control line, really doesn't.
Yeah, I gotta think Partridge maybe jumped a little bit and Gillen was caught off guard. When you see what happens here is that when they have that bottleneck, the 54 gets turned by the 14 Levine, and then what happens is Perkins coming down the track. Levine's hood is up, as you'll see here. He can't see as the 21 comes down the track, spinning out after he gets back in the throttle, and Levine goes over Perkins' hood, launching like a ramp, flipped over. A very low-speed incident, as we said, which is unusual, but obviously Levine just couldn't see and had nowhere to go.
That stack up on the outside causing the 21 to spin. The 14 goes over, but thankfully everyone is okay. Red flag being displayed for the cleanup, and NASCAR will get the field reset for what may be the final time. We don't really know. Will Todd Gilliland tie history, or will Ryan Partridge be able to take it away? Cleanup is complete here at the Kern County Raceway Park for an incident involving several cars, including Matt Levine, who was on his lid. He's walked away and stands with Heather.
Here with driver of the 14 who ended up upside down. Matt, that was a wild ride. Can you walk us through that restart and what you saw and how that incident all unfolded?
Yeah, it started off pretty clean. Everybody got through the gears, and then spotter says checking up front. I backed off, and we started behind the 54, and then I guess 21 came across, they told me, and he was coming down. I was turning left and just got my wheel up over his nose, and it was a slow motion rollover, and I'm sitting there upside down thinking, how can I get out of this car pretty fast? But I feel fine.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Coming to the restart, the teammates of Ryan Partridge and Cole Rouse bring him to green here at Kern County. Todd Gilliland down on the inside in the 16 is running in the 3rd position now. That's the way they were scored at the time of the caution. And Riley Herbst in the outside in the 19.
Unfortunate for Todd Gilliland to get put back there after the caution, but we know how good that race car is. Let's see if he can use it once again to get past these two in front of him and take that lead back from Partridge.
He hasn't had to deal with Rouse yet tonight, so we'll see how he does with the 6. He puts him aside and now sets his sights on Ryan Partridge.
Oh, Dave, he really used up Rouse there. He really pushed him out, used the right side of that race car to put Rouse out of the position of preferred groove and get the track position away from him. Now he's chasing down Partridge, using that bottom line.
Partridge trying to run away, but boy, he hasn't been able to gain much ground over Gilliland all night, and here comes Gilliland.
Oh, Riley Herbst there getting loose off of 2. Getting under Rouse. Looks like Rouse is maybe struggling a little bit compared to where he was before that caution came out. Just seems to not quite have the speed on the top side, and Riley Herbst and Gilliland have been able to use that bottom to get up beside him.
Eggleston in the 50 trying to join this party as well. That black and yellow car, he'll look to the outside of Herbst, down into the turn this time.
If you want to see a difference in how two drivers race, look out how Riley Herbst there has given Rouse a lot of room when he was on the bottom there compared to when Todd Gilliland went up there and put that right side door into the left side door. Oh, Eggleston gets into Rouse a little bit. Those teammates, it's not what you want to see out of teammates.
And he ended up using the inside to attempt to make that pass. So all over the track for Chris Eggleston. Speaking of all over, it is Todd Gilliland all over the back bumper of Ryan Partridge. This is how they finished in reverse order at Irwindale. And now Partridge is going to get the big challenge from Todd down to the inside.
And probably going to try to do the same thing he did to his teammate Rouse, force him up the track a little bit. You see how close they are together, and that's exactly what Gilliland's doing, using that right rear quarter panel, put it in the left front of Partridge, and just forcing him out of the groove, using the full contact of these stock cars to do that. He gets the lead, takes it back. Wow, what a commanding move by Todd Gilliland.
Good short track racing here at Kern County, and Gilliland now back to the point, chasing history. If he wins tonight, he'll win his 4th K&N Pro Series event in a row. It's only been done one other time in history, and it's been a long time since it was last done.
Ryan Partridge, we know how much he wants to beat Todd Gilliland. He talked about it before this race. He's put up a heck of a fight, but it looks like they just don't quite have the speed here late in the race to challenge Todd Gilliland. I think that team is really going to have to go to the notebook and go do some homework over the next couple weeks to try and beat that 16 car going forward late in the race here.
Nice recovery for David Mayhew in the white and orange 17. He's battling Grayson Raz for that 6th position. Remember, Mayhew started tail end of the field after the halfway point when he was the leader. He cut down a tire, had to come down pit road and start at the rear of the field, has worked his way all the way back up to this group.
And Mayhew, who's running a partial schedule here, really is showing up with one intention. That's to win, right? So a day like today where he's fought back and he seems to have so much speed in that race car will be like a day that they let get away from them, because if they didn't have that right front tire down, I think it's a car that really could have challenged Todd Gilliland for the lead right here late in the race.
And teammates Raz and Gregson have to be careful here. There was a race here at Kern called the Winter Showdown in February where Gregson took full responsibility for a big crash between the two. Left him discussing things, but still friends and still teammates, and they clear it up now.
Remember, those two had differing strategies of how they were going to approach the second half of the race. Gregson there was going to go 95% from what his crew chief said, and then Grayson Raz was going to go after it hard, straight from the drop of the green flag in the second half of this race. It seems like maybe going hard was the right strategy for Grayson Raz.
Cole Rouse still maintaining that 3rd position over the 19 of Riley Herbst, and the car behind him, Eggleston. But it's been all Todd Gilliland here in the latter part of the race. White flag out now for the Sherrills Ford, North Carolina teenager. He takes it off of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. The 3rd generation driver trying to win again. pad his championship lead, but also tie history in the K&N Pro Series. Todd Gilliland's going to do it. He's going to win in Kern County.
Dave, it might be tough for that young man to completely understand what he's achieved, but to put himself beside in the history books of a man like Dan Gurney is absolutely incredible. What a start for this young man. His maturity shows through, and how he approaches these races, his ability to use that race car well over the course of an entire race is boding well for the future of this young man's career.
And he used it too. Look at those front brake rotors glow. Gave it everything he had in the 16, and it paid off. We'll talk to Todd Gilliland when we come back to Bakersfield, California. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. This crowd loves the fast cars they have seen tonight in the Napa Auto Parts 150. A good crowd on hand to see a race that was under question by a number of drivers. Could they take it to Todd Gilliland? But they couldn't. The youngster kept on pressuring and finally got the lead back near the end, as he's done so often so far. It all started for Todd back at the Phoenix International Raceway last fall when he came from behind to win in that 54 car. Then it started again at New Smyrna in February, where he outdueled everyone to take the victory there in the East Series. Then it was back to the West, Irwindale, the site of his next victory, and then tonight, another win for Todd Gilliland, and it's the one that will tie him in the record books. I wonder what he's going to do in his next one. Heather standing by in victory lane.
He has done it. He has tied Dan Gurney for 4 wins in a row. Todd, have you ever thought that this would be you at 15 years old, winning constantly? You just said to your team, thank you so much for a great car. You give me a great car every week. How happy are you right now? Explain the emotion going through your mind.
I'm so happy. It's not often that you start at a season like this, and these guys have worked so hard over the off season, and we've got really great race cars coming to the racetrack every weekend, and can't thank everyone enough for that. And they gave me the easy job when they gave me a great race car like that.
Now, you battled with the 9 car throughout the entire race, especially on the restarts. Can you walk us through those last few restarts?
Yeah, I was actually struggling with my restarts a little bit. The whole race, they weren't the best, and my whole crew is keeping my head up, telling me certain things I could do. Just things like that my dad, he's actually spotted for me tonight for the first time. So just things like that he can do now, and helps me a lot.
So are we going to see you in victory lane in Tucson as well? I mean, you're on a roll.
I mean, we certainly hope so. We're going to try hardest.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And Heather, according to the team, he's actually going to race next in the East Series at Bristol. So that'll be his next chance, Parker, to break the record.
Todd Gilliland is obviously impressive, and it's easy for a young driver to get complacent with this much success, but it seems like he's got the right head on his shoulders to say, we're going to try our hardest coming next time.
You see the top 10 there. These are the drivers that were a little more disappointed. See Parker Stevens down there in 18th, a heavy crash for him, and Matt Levine in that 14 ended up finishing 17th, although they took the car away on the hook. Second place again to Ryan Partridge, Heather.
For the second race in a row, Ryan Partridge comes home with second place, and I know you very badly want to beat Todd. What else could you have done to take that victory from him today?
I don't know, short of flat-out dirty driving and blocking, blatant blocking. I mean, I think we even covered our line a bit, and he still got by us. That car's just stinking fast. Todd's on fire right now. But anyways, the car ended up getting better and better and better, which is really frustrating when you're getting into the halfway break and the crew chief's, hey, driver, what do you want to do? I had all these ideas at the beginning of the run, and then slowly the car's getting better. It's not really loose there anymore. It's rolling better. So anyways, it was definitely a wild finish, though. I wish that caution was 5 to go. I think it would be a different story, but I keep saying that. But Todd is ridiculously fast right now. Well played, sir. Well played.
Well, great job on another strong finish.
Thank you.
That's Ryan Partridge walking away with another top 5 tonight.
Dave, he brought up a great point there. Sometimes as a driver, it's so tough to know what changes to make when your car's getting better and better, but you've got to be able to think ahead and know what that car needs come the end of the race, not what it needs halfway.
Partridge remains second in the championship. Nice run tonight for Cole Rouse, Heather.
In just his second start here in the K&N West Series, Cole Rouse has pulled off a top 3 finish. Great job out there. Talk about your run tonight and how happy are you to be finishing 2-3 with your teammate?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I can't thank my whole crew enough for all the support. A great car to finish third. On the restarts, just kind of worked myself up there. I wouldn't say we had the best car here tonight. I don't know if we could have beat Todd, but we had a great car tonight. Happy with a third place run and good for championship points.
What did you learn today that you can take to the next race at Tucson?
I guess I just learned pretty much just stay up there in the restarts. If you get too far back, it's hard to make yourself back up there.
All right, well, thank you and great job tonight.
Thank you.
Good restarts often equal good finishes, huh, Park?
Restarts are important, especially in this series where, a lot of times we have a couple of them, especially towards the end of the races. You got to maximize those restarts and make sure to at least protect your track position, if not gain track position.
Heather mentioned Tucson. That'll be for the West. You see, our next race for the K&N Pro Series overall will be at the Bristol Motor Speedway. That should be a whole lot of fun. Well, it was a Todd Gilliland night to start, but it became a David Mayhew night. And it looked like the Bakersfield resident might just give the hometown crowd something to cheer about, but it was not to be as a flat tire got in his way. But that was not the biggest incident of the night. Matt Levine walked away from that, and happy to say he's okay. So was Todd Gilliland. He wins again in the K&N Pro Series, and it's his 4th in a row. For Parker Kligerman and Heather DeBow, I'm Dave Burns saying thanks so much for joining us. Your winner, that man.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.